Technology is an important and powerful tool in the classroom. Therefore, I integrated iPads into the first few days at Washington Middle School. The iPads were very fun and exciting for the students because it not only pertained to their interests, but I was also able to make electronic textbooks, edit articles, and recreate a story called My Name is Jan. The students loved using the technology and had fun playing the games and exploring the different apps that the iPad integrated. The iPad also allowed the students to look and follow along with the story while I was reading. Another form of technology I used in the classroom was the document camera. The document camera was used frequently in my activities because having a larger image of directions, maps, and student work on the projector helped the students follow along more closely, have a model of what's being demonstrated, and provide a visual component that is key for ESL students. This video shows how I used the document camera to explain and use the Washington Middle School reading strategy. In one example, I projected the strategy right on the screen, had the article next to it, and had a student come up and go through each step of the strategy. This use of technology allowed the students to catch on to the reading strategy quickly and easily. On the last day of class, I brought my computer to play a Wheel of Fortune vocabulary review game. When a student clicked on the spinner of the wheel, a number was chosen that corresponded with another student. The student chosen had to ask a vocabulary question and have a different student answer it. The students really enjoyed this game because it not only integrated technology, which is an important part of their life, but they were in control of the fate of the spinner, and the randomness allowed the students to have fun and review the vocabulary at the same time. In class, we stress the importance of building positive relationships with your students and creating a positive classroom environment. Group work is my favorite way to enhance these relationships. I only had 10 students in the class, which was both a positive and a negative. The small class number was positive because I was able to get to know the students' strengths and weaknesses rather quickly. But in the aspect of group work, the number of group organizations is small, especially in an ESL classroom, because the students are with each other for the majority of the day. When the students were able to pick their own partners for the groups, the work went well and efficiently. But when I picked the groups, conflicts between students started to arise. A way to combat this negative attitude, and in an effort to reinforce positive student interaction and environment, my student teaching partner Tyler Cobb and I modeled what an effective and negative group looks like. We used some of the actions we saw from the students when modeling the negative group, and asked the students what was wrong with this group. The students quickly picked up with what was wrong, such as disrespect, not looking, not helping, and only having one person do all the work. Likewise, when we modeled what a good group and effective group looked like, the students were able to articulate the good characteristics, such as eye contact, respect, helping, and both people working on task. After explaining the importance of effective group work and modeling what an effective group looks like, the majority of students behaved and worked together better. To enforce what good behavior looked like, I placed compliment cards next to the groups that worked well together. The notes said, "Great teamwork" or "Awesome job working together." When discussing important information to the students, I use a very confident tone in my voice. This tone lets the students know that the information I am giving them is not only important and relevant, but the tone also delivers the information clearly. When giving directions, I say the directions once, repeat them a second time, and then ask the students to repeat the directions back to me. Having the students listen twice allows the students, especially at an ESL level, to hear a part of the directions that he or she missed. And by having the students repeat the directions back to me, they not only put the directions further into their brain, but it also allows me to know they heard what I expected clearly. This video shows how I demonstrate this strategy, and while I am distributing papers, the students are saying the directions back to me. If a student asks a question or has difficulty with a task or assignment, I walk over to the student and bend down or sit down next to him or her, so I am at the same level as the student. By being at the same student's eye level, the student feels more comfortable because I am not towering over in an intimidating manner. I also use a calm and soft tone in my voice when helping a student one-on-one with a problem. Some students are embarrassed to ask questions or admit they need help, so by using a calmer voice, I keep the student's question between us, unless it's a very good question that pertains to the entire class. If a student doesn't understand a question, I reword the question until the student understands what's being asked. Through this experience, I learned that short, simple, and clear questions work the best for ESL students. Students have varying degrees of strengths and weaknesses. While piecing together the content for this unit, literacy was a major focus. For 2 days, I introduced the Washington Middle School reading strategy and applied the strategy to 2 different articles. Knowing a little background about the students, I previously adapted the language of the article to fit the reading levels of the students. However, after each day, I saw the students were struggling with the concept of key words and big ideas. I modified the lesson plan for the following day and added a graphic organizer to go along with the article that broke it up into 3 sections I wanted to emphasize. The students were able to identify each component of the graphic organizer without the article, but they struggled to piece the information together within the larger context. With this knowledge of the students, I knew my planned summative assessment was not going to work. By talking with our cooperating teacher, I found out that the large majority of the students were better writers than readers. I changed the focus of the content from this point to writing instead of reading. We started the 5th and 6th day with a mini warm-up writing that scaffolded into the new summative larger assessment. The new summative assessment still incorporated these 3 main ideas of vocabulary, reasons for immigrating, and prediction, but the students wrote the story themselves. The students could write about whatever they wanted, but they had to include a certain set of criteria in the writing. I changed the rubric and gave the students the rubric and a checklist so they knew exactly what we expected in the writing. The new summative assessment was key to ensure student success and give me an accurate representation of what they learned. I can safely say I looked good and professional each day I taught at Washington Middle School. My shoulders, chest, and legs were always covered, my clothes were not revealing in any form, and my outfits did not deter the students from the content I was teaching. My hair was tidy and out of my face and was not a distraction to the students or myself. I also wore my lanyard that held my ID every day, which was a school-mandated procedure and a way for the students to know I was not above the rules and needed to follow the procedures just as they did. I truly enjoyed my time at Washington Middle School. An extended thank you to Mrs. Marisol Evans, our cooperating teacher in the Education Department at St. Norbert College, especially Dr. Riegel, Dr. Kirst, and Dr. Greenlaw, for preparing me for this awesome experience at Washington Middle School.